Welcome back, Loud Squad family. My name is Chin Williams. Am I Chinese? Do I take cocaine? More on Loud Squad Family Television.
So we said this, and we are not ashamed to say it publicly. Our church preaches that polygyny is allowed in the gospel of Jesus Christ. I don't have two wives. He doesn't have two wives. He doesn't have two wives. We are not saying it because we want to do it. No, we are not planning on doing it. But if Pastor Paloi decides to do it, I will tell him there are regulations on how to do it.
Oh my god, no, you want to do it. Okay, you're better off just doing it, right? Without having to use the Bible to justify your nature. Okay, you're supposed to evolve from your nature. You're supposed to mature. You're supposed to evolve, not just stay stuck in your nature like an animal, you know. Anywho, these guys clearly, none of them are married. None of them have 6 7 wives, but I'm sure they got like modern concubines. My small house, yeah, I'm sure they got small houses. I appreciate a dude who can just come out clean and say that, you know what, I like to smash, and I think I want 6 wives. I want 6 wives. Uh, I want 7 daughters, because from those 7 daughters, I can get like 7 times 5 cows. That's like how many? 35 cows. Yeah, I can get 35 cows and I'll be good. I'll be Gucci. I'll be all right. And then on the sons are gonna have to like go conquer empires, establish maybe okay in this modern time conquering empires. They're gonna have to go and build empires, fulfill my legacy. These 6 sons of mine, they're supposed to fulfill my legacy. They're supposed to carry on my legacy. Yeah, that we can understand. But for you to bring the Bible and then try and manipulate the Bible to suit your fetish, to suit your vice, don't be misleading, all right? Hell is not that far away for a lot of people, and I don't want to be taken there by someone who's supposed to be a teacher. So again, with the emphasis, I will tell you again. New Testament perspective. The New Testament reinforces the notion that polygamy is contrary to God's ideal by re-establishing the monogamous standard found in Genesis. Jesus teaching, yeah, okay. Jesus affirmed the original creation of one man and one woman in marriage, stating, "What God has joined together, let no one separate." Matthew 19:4-6. Pastoral qualifications. The Apostle Paul explicitly required church leaders, such as elders and deacons, to be the husband of but one wife, confirming the monogamous ideal for Christian relationships. Well, these modern pastors are adulterers and rapists. I mean, look at my guy. My guy is being accused of fraud. He's being accused of rape. Maybe he didn't rape anybody, but then you're not following God's laws, God's direction, God's journey for you, God's plan for you as a pastor, as a prophet, as a religious man of God. And so you go in your own direction since you want to worship yourself badly. You want to worship your vices. You want to worship your lies. Uh-huh. And then again, Mark 10, the account in Mark 10, chapter 10, yeah, similarly records Jesus citing Genesis to say that God made them male and female. We can do this the whole day. Right? We can go in and out the whole day talking about the same thing that this dude is trying to avoid, talking about the same thing that this dude is twisting, you know? Take the Bible and read for yourself. Look at the verses, go on AI and check, you know, compare what he's talking about and what he's teaching you with what information, websites, and documents have been saying, in what they're saying, and how they've explained certain verses. That's a complex book. You can't just be reading this book and then you just be like, okay, fine, I've understood this. I'll wait for the pastor to explain to me. You're supposed to understand this book. That's why you have it in the first place. It's not something for you to carry and then open the pages when the pastor tells you to open a certain page and read a certain verse to emphasize his point and narrative. Nah. And then again, for those that believe in Jesus and those that go to the churches and they claim to believe in Jesus and follow his messages and his word, and that they know whether their pastor is a false prophet or not, this is also for you. Jesus discusses marriage in Matthew 19, 4 to 6, and Mark 10, 6 to 9, where he references the creation account to define marriage as a union between one man and one woman, stating they become one flesh, and that what God has joined together, let no one separate. This teaching is understood by many to implicitly condemn polygamy, as the concept of becoming one flesh does not logically apply to a husband with multiple wives. How are you going to serve uh, five souls? Right? How are you going to serve five souls? Okay. Polygamy is a selfish practice. All right. Most dudes who get married to a lot of women are selfish people. If you want to think about it. If you want to sit down and look back and just think, for some maybe it might be cultural, but for most, they're just selfish bastards. And then Matthew 19, 4 to 6, and Mark 10, 6 to 9. In these passages, Jesus is asked about divorce and he responds by referencing to Genesis. He states that from the beginning of creation, God made the male and female. And the man shall leave his parents and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. He concludes that because of this, they are no longer two, but one flesh. And what God has yoked together, no one should separate. Yeah. And then contrast with Moses' law. Jesus later contrasts with the Mosaic law, stating that Moses permitted divorce because of the hardness of your hearts. But from the beginning, it was not so. This indicates that while polygamy was practiced in the Old Testament, it was not God's original and perfect plan for marriage. Yeah, and then divorce is it's a really complex discussion. It's a complex thing, it's a complex because in this day and age, even back then, people are, yeah, even women, some women are, some dudes are, but yeah, I mean, it's mal. I wouldn't advise a woman to stay in a relationship or in a marriage, abusive marriage. I wouldn't advise that. So I guess the hardness of people's hearts, because of your hard nature and your hard temper, you're gonna push away your wife because of your lustful behavior, because of your adulterous character, your adulterous chromosome. You're going to what? Push your partner away. So that's the hardness of your heart, I guess. And then also the person being pushed away, maybe you can't forgive, your heart is not that strong. I don't think anybody's heart is that strong.
So I want to bring another woman so that I can test another form. Toda kuchinja foroma. Toda kuchinja mukaka. Uri kuyamwiwa nevana vangu. Vana vangu vekutanga vanenge vakayamwa mukaka wakasuruka. Vanongozhinya zhinya hazvina kunyatsocheruka. Otoudza mumwe mukadzi achida kuedza kuona kuti vangandizvarire here amai ava vamwe vana vari nani. Nekuti musha uno wakakura, handingasiye musha uno uine marurwe ega ega. Then the last reason is desire. A man may marry a second wife simply because he is not satisfied with one woman. That is enough reason for a man to marry a second wife. Kweni ndaita sei? Hapana. Zvandakanga ndaroora mukadzi mupfupi, ndakazoona kuti ndinoda futi murefu. Ndo chikonzero chandakuroorera mumwe mukadzi ichocho. Ndakutora murefu, ndoita mupfupi nemurefu. Zvopa zvabhalansa pamberi paMwari. Mwari ngaakudzwe. Vakomana. Ah,
Yeah, they're just smiling and laughing. Ish, I wonder whose parents these are.
ndeida kufamba zvangu nevakadzi vangu tu mupfupi kuleft murefu kuright zvakashata chiizvo. Desire chaiyo is a legitimate reason yekuroora mukadzi wechitu.
So yeah, he's basically teaching about adultery and lust. That's what he's practically preaching about. He's not preaching anything else here. Okay, he's preaching the gospel of Andrew Tate. Nothing more. Nothing more. And his own gospel for what he wants, for what he's into, you know. So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
Preaching is not telling people what they like. Preaching is telling people what God likes.
Yes.
So we know that women do not like this. Pastor, we really know that, right?
Yeah, we do.
We really know that there is no wife who can say amen.
Let
Let the second wife come. Apostle, I'm going to throw a party to welcome wife number 2. It is hurtful. Women are jealousy. They don't want to share a man. We acknowledge that. But that is besides the point. If a man decides to do it, we will allow him to do it in broad daylight.
Yes.
Because it's allowed. Saka zvokuti madzimai amuzvide tozviziva uye Mwari anozviziva. Asi achizviziva kudaro akazvitendera. What are the reasons for a man to marry a second wife? Reason number 1, children. A woman may give birth to 4 children and the husband wants 8 children, but by reason of medical concerns, the woman cannot give him more than 4 children. The man must marry a second wife and have as many children as he wants. If the second wife does not give him the number of children he wants, he can bring in the third wife. He's not going to use your money to take care of these children. It's his pocket. If he can afford, let him do it.
Women are jealousy. I don't know. Do you think they're jealousy more than men are jealousy? I think men are jealousy more. Yeah. Men are much more jealousy. I mean, how many men are willing to share a wife? Okay. How many men are willing to pay cows for one woman, for the same woman? And then, Friday, I'm chilling with her. Throughout the weekend, you take her back on Monday since you paid more cows. Men aren't jealous, right? So we can share all these women around. We can share each other's wives. Is that what he's trying to say? This dude is crazy. Everybody's jealous. Every single human being is jealous. Men and women are jealous. That's why God's ideal design of one man, one woman, one flesh. So Jacob, Leah, and Rachel. Jacob's marriages resulted in one of the most prominent biblical examples of the distress caused by polygamy. He loved Rachel but was deceived into marrying her older sister, Leah, leading to intense competition, jealousy, and rivalry. Because Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah, the sisters vied for his affection through bearing children. The Bible describes Rachel as being so jealous of her sister that she despaired of life itself. Genesis 30. I guess verse 1. Sorrow and manipulation. Leah's loneliness is evident in the names she chose for her sons, with each name revealing her desire for Jacob's love. The wives' rivalry extended to their children and even involved bargaining for Jacob's attention with mandrakes. Genesis 30:15-16. Hatred and family trauma. The discord in this family was so deep seated that it contributed to Jacob's sons' later hatred of their half brother Joseph and his sale into slavery. Genesis 37 3 to 4, 28. You see what I'm saying? Like, how is polygamy something that God is promoting and teaching? It's not God's ideal design. So what is he talking about? Why is he lying? That's something that he wants to do. All right. Not that you should be doing it. So don't go and do it because he said do it. If you want to do it because you are a horny dude, not because you are a religious dude. If you're a religious dude, follow what the religion is talking about. Don't do what he's telling you to do. That's what he wants to do. He's trying to justify the fact that allegedly he's been beating up his wife because he had an affair with the maid. That's what he's trying to justify. All right.
bonde racho ndiwe futi unenge uchisanyuka kushanda saka uri kufira chii, uri kukumbira chii?
kumbira kushanda.
Wakamboona munhu anokumbira badza rekunosakura mumunda? Kusakura kauku.
Yes.
Makamboona munhu anonyengetedza varidzi vemunda kuti ndipewo badza ndisakure munda wenyu uyu? Munda wenyu waita sora. Saka ndikasasakura anokuvara ndiani? If I don't cultivate mumunda umu, anokuvara ndiani? Handiti ndinofanira tsangadzi.
Mudara saka kuti tikazosakura tirisu, then what? Munozoita sei? Munozochemera, anozokwara ndiani? Handi mukuti munda waridzi. Alright, tovabatsira kusakura munda mavo. Then what? Munobva maita sei? Anozorwadziwa ndiani? Tasakura mumunda, hamusiri kuda kusakura imimi, tobva tasakura yedu isusu.
Garai nadzo tsangadzi dzenyu idzi. Ini ndini ndega ndinogona kusakura pamba panapa. Imi hamuna chamunogona. Chauri kukumbira ipapa chii? Real men do not get blackmailed by their women because of such nonsensical issues.
But he is bitter. Clearly he is bitter. I mean, you have to understand what he's talking about here. He's preaching against women. He's not preaching for you to serve women like what's written in the Bible, like the ideal design. He's preaching to you to resent women, but to desire them. What? Unoita murefu unoita hangu short wife, mufamba hangu nhasi kuside uko kwanenge akareba wacho anenge ari uko, kapfupi kacho kanenge kari kunoku. Dude, so that's your reason to marry more wives? Shame on you for preaching such. You're better off just doing it without telling us that, hey, this is religious. This is a religious act I'm doing. Lust is religious.
God does not want men to waste their energy on women. Men are not servants to their wives. Men are servants of God. Refuse to be a slave to your sexuality. Control your libido. Control your javelin. Control your loins.
Amen.
Build a family, build an empire, build a house, build businesses, start projects, go back to school. Build things that when you are done, you can show people, this is the sweat of my labor.
Yes.
Intimacy is the only job that you sweat a lot. And you cannot prove your sweat with anything useful other than children.
These are the contradictions that I am talking about. The contradictions of talent Apostle Chiwenga. Apostle Talent Chiwenga. Those are his contradictions. 1 minute he's saying that, hey, use your desire. It's your desire you can have a short wife and a tall wife. And the next minute he's saying, God did not create men to waste his energy on women. Mdara. Saka makutoudza vanhu kuti chiitai polygamy. Mubva maudza futi kuti don't waste your energy on women. So you have 4 wives and then you're probably sleeping with like 2 every 2 months. And then the rotation changes back to these are the 2. The next, after like 2 more months. Tusaka mchiwirirwa. Okay, so take out your Bibles and read this for yourself. Go to Hosea 12:12 KJV reads, And Jacob fled into the country of Syria and served for a wife, and for a wife he kept sheep. This verse describes how Jacob fled to the country of Syria, Aram, to escape his brother, and when he worked for 14 years to earn his wives, Rachel and Leah, by tending his uncle Laban's sheep. Jacob flees to Syria. The verse begins by stating that Jacob fled to the country of Syria. It continues to explain that he worked for wives. The verse specifies that he kept sheep to earn his wives. And in the context of this passage in Hosea, is to remind the people of Israel, of their ancestor Jacob's story of hardship and perseverance, which contrasts with their current spiritual corruption. Not what this dude is talking about. He's talking about he's using his resentment towards women to justify the resentment using scriptures, using chapters, using cherry picked verses and quotes. This is why it's important to read your own Bible. Go to church. I'm not saying don't go to church, but go to church and understand why you're going to church. Let it show in your life that you are going to church and you know why you're going to church. Let it show in your life from Monday to Sunday that hey, you have a Bible and you do read it and you understand it. Some people have the Bible, they've had the Bible for like 10 years, the same type of Bible, but they don't even understand what that Bible is teaching. They haven't learned proper lessons from that Bible. They just go to the pastor and then they get value from the pastor's performance. Hey, I mean, if you gotta go to school to be taught how to speak in tongues, you are most likely a false prophet, sir. Right? False prophet.
dikita chu muviri wese wadikitira kuda kufadza munhu wacho akuremekedze futi simba irori imagine ndewangu uchikanya zvidhina panopera mwedzi ungadeva kutopedzisa kuvakazve. Intimacy takes a lot from the body of a man. It has to mean something. You can't just do it to please a woman. Uri kufira chi?
And the most painful thing is working for Rachel.
Shandira Rachel wokuti
Now, let me explain to you what he's saying is most likely the gospel of what? Of Andrew Tate. It's not the gospel of Jesus. It's not the gospel of anything in the Bible. So duties and obligations from Jesus and the apostles. While Jesus' direct statements focused on the foundation and performance of marriage, New Testament authors expounded on practical spousal obligations, basing their instructions on his teachings. Husbands are called to love their wives sacrificially. So yeah, you are actually of service because hey, you gotta protect this person. You gotta die for this person. That's what sacrificially means. Following Christ's example for the church. This in check, you gotta be sacrificial, and so that like in line with the Christ's example for the church. So this love is unconditional and involves service and care. I'm going to read that again. This love is unconditional and involves service and care, much like a man cares for his own body. They are also instructed to live with their wives in an understanding way, showing honor and recognizing them as co-heirs of God's grace. Not just man, like our man is destined for God's grace or deserves God's. It's both of you. That's why you're one flesh, you check. So I don't understand why he's preaching this. Why I do, but I don't understand why you guys are following this. Why are you falling for this? Why are people in the comment section saying, you're a true man of God. You really are saying very important stuff. And I will definitely take your advice because I am a perfect. Anyway, it goes on to describe that wives are encouraged to respect and support their husbands. This submission is a respectful attitude within the context of both being equal heirs of grace. The New Testament also highlights the wife's role as a partner and emphasizes the value of inner beauty over outward appearance. Inner beauty over outward appearance. To love, serve, and care like your own body. All right. These are the instructions. That's why so many marriages are crumbling because people are not following these simple instructions given by God, given by Jesus and the apostles and the Bible that you have. So then how is this woman sitting there and listening to Apostle Chiwenga say, polygamy, polygamy. Man should not serve his life for women. No. Control your libido. This is, he's talking about his desires. These are his biases. based on his vices. All right, that's what he's preaching here.
And do you know that it is scientifically proven that a man who is busy working hard with his body does not have problems with his testosterone? It's a scientific effect. Ukawana basa, ukashanda nesimba, your testosterone levels get lower because of your sweating. But if you are idle, you are always feeling like you are looking for a woman. Kushikira wane mbiri yekugona bonde. Ukaona uine mbiri iyoyo mumaraini urirombe. Ukaona uine mbiri yekugona bonde urirombe. Nekuti vanhu vakadaro havana chimwe chipenyu chavanoita.
Okay. All right.
Marembe woye, maskondreuzi woye. At this kuti don't please your wife. We are simply saying you please your wife as God expects, and not as you are expected by the society, by the degenerate society, by the unthankful world, the ungrateful world, which might include your wife if she is not bridled by the gospel of Christ.
So 1 Corinthians 7, chapter 7, verse 1 to 2 states that while it is good for a person to remain unmarried, marriage is necessary to prevent sexual immorality. You know, it makes you, it keeps you from sleeping with your maid, cheating on your wife. So verse 1, now concerning the matters about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman. Paul begins by addressing questions the Corinthian church had sent him in a letter. The phrase, it is good for a man not to touch a woman, in the King James Version is believed to be quote from a slogan circulating among some in Corinth who advocated for asceticism. Asceticism, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if you know the pronunciation, just pat yourself on the back. So severe self-discipline, it means severe self-discipline and avoidance of indulgence, even within marriage. Wow. Yeah. Apparently, yeah. Because comes a point where people who are married, they should try and abstain from sex so that they can be well connected to God or in the spiritual realm, and it makes sense. So Paul is not saying that marriage is bad, but rather acknowledging that a celibate single state can be advantageous. And verse 2, but because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. In contrast to the idea that celibacy is always preferable, Paul explains that marriage is a safeguard against the prevalent sexual immorality in the culture of Corinth. To avoid sexual sin, it is appropriate for a man and a woman to get married and have exclusive sexual relations within that covenant, not with the maid. This verse prohibits polygamy by specifying that each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband, and not Harare being like a bedroom. I mean, Harare is a bedroom. Apparently, the whole world is a bedroom. Yeah, so don't be part of the bedroom.
Dota wana ochita chi? Pastor Balo. Dota wana ochite? What for?
Yeah.
And most of these women who demand all that, they know nothing about how to please their husbands.
Wasn't he just preaching about polygamy? Oh, it's a desire. I can have one wife. I can have two wives. I can have a short wife. I can have a midget. You see, the contradictions, they're strong in this one.
Kupfugamiswa nemukadzi uchidemba mai vangu vakandibereka ndapota ndateterera uchikumbira bota iwewe kuita karombe. Murume anoitwa muranda nemukadzi nekuda kwebonde irombe. You are a weakling. Haufanirwe kana kuuya kudare chaiko. Unofanirwa kunoatenda china uko. Mukadzi anofanirwa kuzotaka kunyimba bonde apisira. Anogona kuita 2 years wakatoresigna kuti saka kana zvakadaro handichada.
This person doesn't understand love, so that's why he looks at it as something useless. And I don't even think he's a good performer. I mean, judging from the way he's talking, like I don't think he likes satisfying women. I think he likes being satisfied. I think he's a selfish lover. Yeah, I think he's a selfish lover. I don't think. Yeah.
They tell you that a real man will do this and that, and yet they've never spoken about a real wife. You want me to be a real man to what? To a monitor lizard? A real man anengakarora real wife. You real wife.
Yes.
Well, so clearly this apostle and his minions are here to sell you a bias. All right. I feel like they're preaching a gospel that people who are for polygamy, but they want to put it in the Christian religion. I feel like that's who they're talking to. That's who they're reaching out to. That's their audience. So they're going to come to their church with their 6 wives and malnourished 60 children, or even 16 children. Malnourished, depressed, broken, traumatized children. Anywho, I hope the elderly have listened. I hope they can try to utilize the evidence I gave you. Right? Try and see between the lines. Just try and see between the lines. Try and see the truth. See beyond the nonsense, the bullshit. See between the lines and interpret things for yourself. Interpret things for your own kids. Because, hey, as a father, you're supposed to be able to teach your kids, not wait for another grown man who failed to be a husband and a father. So be careful. And until next time, thank you for watching. Stay tuned.